Hello friends and viewers, and welcome to my Taair character guide. If you are here for a quick reference, I've created a pocket guide for the beginning of the video. Without further ado, my introduction. My name is James, I'm a global player and I started playing Sword of Convallaria in September 2024. I'm a longtime strategy and turn-based RPG fan with the Fire Emblem series, Tactics Ogre, and Unicorn Overlord as some recent titles I enjoy. I am a PvE focused player in Sword of Convallaria. I have no interest or knowledge of PvP. As a global player, I lack the technical knowledge and exposure to the Taiwan and China scenes. As a result, I'm subject to feedback and I'm open to being wrong. If you come across conflicting information to other guides and creators, then there are absolutely multiple ways to play a character. Play your way. As a fun fact about myself, I am a Thai tea boba enjoyer. Taair's trait is Historian. Throughout battle, he accrues stacks of knowledge. Knowledge is used to cast from a selection of 3 historical skills. Think of knowledge as an additional resource like energy. Taair's healing and supporting skills have increased range. Upon casting any healing or supporting skills, the target receives additional healing. Throughout battle, skulls will spawn in random locations within 3 tiles of Taair. Because of the random spawn locations, they may be beneficial or detrimental to Taair's movement. Upon picking up a scroll, he gains 1 stack of knowledge and gains 1 random level 2 buff. His historical skills are all instant casts, and he has 3 types of skills. Historical Truth, which inflicts move and vulnerable debuffs on a single enemy for 2 rounds. Learn from Past, which is an AoE ally dispel followed by an AoE heal equal to 30% of his magic attack. And Hero's Epic, which is a single target damage and damage reduction buff followed by a heal equal to 50% of his magic attack. His initial skill is Healing Spell. This is a 1 energy cost, 0 turn cooldown, single target heal and ally dispel that scales with Taair's magic attack. This ability is also affected by attack buffs. At rank 1, I recommend Seed of Wisdom with a Castalia for 1000 Mile Echo. Seed of Wisdom is one of Taair's iconic abilities, performing an AoE ally dispel with an AoE speed buff and energy restoration. Energy restoration is always useful, and player speed buffs are rare. The mass speed buff will allow your party to initiate on enemies. 1000 Mile Echo is a single target support skill, restoring 4 energy and granting attack, move, and speed buffs. Legendary characters commonly have ultimate skills that cost 4 energy, so 1000 Mile Echo enables the potential for them to cast their ultimate skills in 2 consecutive turns. Do your best to avoid overcapping on an ally's energy. At rank 3, I recommend Inner Light. At 1 energy cost, Inner Light can and should return more energy to your allies than Taair spends. As an instant skill, this can be used to control Taair's action economy by moving and picking up knowledge scrolls without immediately ending his turn. Regenerate is a minor single target heal at the end of Taair's turn. The heal scales with magic attack and will benefit from attack buffs, but it is easier to net more valuable combat returns with Inner Light's energy restoration. Consider Regenerate if you want Taair to be more healing focused. At rank 5, your options are Pacifism or Heart of Forbearance. Pacifism decreases damage taken by 20% and dispels 2 enemy buffs. It is a straightforward option to add survivability and combat utility. Heart of Forbearance reduces dot taken by 50%. If Taair is equipped with Reorganized Cube and or Elegance of the Empress, he is capable of removing dots from himself. Where Heart of Forbearance may be more valuable is removing crowd control effects and gaining bound immunity. Taair has the highest base speed in the game with a wide array of supporting skills. In scenarios where you are facing crowd control effects, if Taair is crowd controlled at the start of a round, then you risk your party losing his support benefits for a whole round. Heart of Forbearance helps with avoiding those scenarios. That said, my pick at this rank is Pacifism. At rank 7, I recommend Campfire Night Talks. Campfire Night Talks inflicts sleep and tipsy on all characters. This includes allies and enemies within 2 tiles of Taair. You may be familiar with Tipsy from Rawia, which increases crit by 30% and damage taken by 10%, so this can set up burst group damage for one turn. As the effects last for one turn, you have a small window to avoid the sleep effect and allow your team to capitalize on the tipsy gains. Some options to circumvent the sleep include Taair equipped with Reorganized Cube and or Elegance of the Empress to remove the sleep debuff, or having Karis grant bound immunity via Broad Radiance. Be mindful Campfire Night Talks can affect enemies as well, so this skill functions as enemy crowd control. Flagellant offers Taair additional survivability and energy restoration. Depending on your regular skill selection and how comfortable you are with managing Taair's energy, consider this to help more regularly cast skills. At rank 9, I recommend Dispelling Strike. Taair offers group support in several different ways and not just through healing. If his skill loadout has more group buffs than healing, then Merciful Strike is less valuable, so consider leaning Dispelling Strike. If you are playing Taair more for healing, then select Merciful Strike. Merciful Strike can be cast on objects to gain the healing skill increase. At rank 11, I recommend Caged Reverie. For 2 turns, Caged Reverie increases allies' damage and piercing damage by 15%. With its 7-turn cooldown, cast this while the rest of your party has energy and skills off cooldown to set up burst damage. Caged Reverie also allows allies within its aura to share damage taken. This turns single target damage into AoE damage and equally splits AoE damage across all allies within its aura. This has pros and cons. While it can protect the unit from heavy single target damage, it can also risk a lower health ally to take additional damage, or even risk pushing several allies to injured or dying statuses. Some of the risks are mitigated by the 15% HP recovery and attribute debuff immunity, but be strategic with Taair's positioning and, as necessary, move vulnerable allies outside of the aura. Divine Healing is an active, primary single target heal and secondary AoE heal, scaling with magic attack and with no cooldown. Consider this if you're playing Taair more for healing. This is my general build recommendation, focusing on group buffs but less on healing via active skills. Consider substituting Thousand Mile Echo for Campfire Night Talks if you want to add more group utility. Campfire Night Talks and Caged Reverie both increase group damage in different ways, but be mindful of both skills' cooldowns and uptime. You can stack Caged Reverie followed by Campfire Night Talks for 1 turn, or stagger both cooldowns. This build focuses on group and single target energy restoration. If you are running a team composition that has extensive energy costs, consider this build to fuel them. This build focuses on playing Taair as a healer. Consider substituting Regenerate for Flagellant to support more frequent Divine Healing casts. For weapons, I recommend Reorganized Cube to add Dispel utility to his support skills and increase healing. I deeply recommend this, especially for the Dispel utility. Starry Sky Heritage is fine for general use, but should eventually be replaced by Reorganized Cube. For some trinket options, Old Scrolls of August provides an external Speed 1 buff. This has some redundancy when using Seed of Wisdom and or Thousand Mile Echo, so try to stagger trinket usage with his active skills to avoid overlap. However, as an instant trinket, this can be helpful for Taair's action economy by moving and picking up knowledge scrolls without immediately ending his turn. Similarly, Spring Pill is helpful for the same purpose of controlling Taair's action economy in addition to adding self-sustain. Disaster Bottle is another option to control his action economy while also adding debuff support, but is dependent on targeting an enemy. You may also consider Fancy Hat to protect Taair's skill usage. For some tarot options, consider Elegance of the Empress to regularly support allies with debuff conversion. This is also good for when using Campfire Night Talks. You can, of course, consider Mercy of the High Priestess to increase his healing. Also consider Guidance of the World for cooldown reduction and energy regen. If there are multiple knowledge scrolls and Taair collects several scrolls consecutively, each pickup is a unique standby action, provided Taair did not use any active skills on his main turn prior. For Engravings, my first recommendation is Cup and Wand. Despite the randomness of this resonance, it is hard to waste as speed buffs and energy restoration are regularly valuable. However, be mindful and avoid wasting uptime on buffs. For example, if Engraving Resonance resets Caged Reverie, Wait for the first Cage Reverie cast to wear off before casting again. Otherwise, you can consider Double Cup if you are playing Taair more for healing. To provide some composition and usage tips, Taair's support functions of energy restoration and speed buffs is a universal benefit. He can easily be integrated into any team composition and support several units with high energy costs. Campfire Night Talk's Tipsy buff increases crit by 30%. This can stack with the Crit 2 buff, so if you are looking to increase your party's crit chance, consider teaming Taair with Coco or KA Archer. Caged Reverie increases both damage and piercing damage, and some units utilize both damage types. Consider teaming Taair with piercing damage dealers such as Karis and Agata. Lastly, Taair is part of the Papal States and Discipline categories. Consider building a team utilizing Karis', Akambe's, and or Leonide's leaders' auras. For external category buffs, first we have Karis with her Radiant Guidance leader's aura. While Taair himself may not utilize the damage buffs as much as others, this can stack with Caged Reverie, and his skill kit can easily support allies meet the buff count. For Discipline aura, we have Akambe and Leonide. With their auras, Campfire Night Talks and Caged Reverie's cooldown will reduce by 1 turn. This concludes my character guide. As mentioned in my disclaimer, I welcome feedback and I'm open to being wrong. I'm still learning and improving just like you are. Once again, if you find conflicting information to other guides or content creators, then that means there are multiple ways to build a character and still achieve success. If you have any feedback for me, please feel welcome to comment below. I also have my various social media platforms on this slide here. Last but not least, I want to credit and shout out these resources that helped me put this guide together. Voyage Memento for their character build samples and reference links, the Sword of Convallaria No Potion fan site for skill images and skill descriptions, the Sword of Convallaria Cloud Drop Wiki for skill filtering and gear images, and the Billy Game and Game Key Chinese sites for character art assets. I highly recommend visiting these links to build your Sword of Convallaria knowledge. Thank you so much for watching this character guide, and I will see you in the next one.